Alright, so your joke today. Why did the turd never get anything done? Because he was pooped. So we're on chapter 20. We've just found out that Bess and Louie are the only sibling pair that have made it. All the others, one sibling or both siblings, did not make it. So this is called In Spite of All the Precautions. As the hurricane made its way to the port of Greenock, not far from Glasgow, Scotland, Corps of officials in the Ellerman City line were making lists of people who died and people who lived. Geoffrey Shakespeare, head of the Corps program, was preparing a letter to the parents. On the ship, the survivors began to recover from their ordeal. Sonia Betch found a small cat, black and white. It kept her company as she thought of home again. Mackie, her dog, would be there waiting for her. So would Derek's tabby cat, Tim. The Betches were extremely fortunate to have one another, like Bess and Louie. But for most, the loss was unfathomable. The survivors, crew, passengers, and the remaining escorts began to take in the immensity of the tragedy. At this point, it seemed, though this turned out to be wrong, only 7 out of the 90 Corps children survived. More than half of the escorts had died too. Of the children who were traveling privately on the ship with their families or alone, as Colin Ryder Richardson was, 6 out of 10 survived. Husbands lost wives. Wives lost husbands. Children lost parents. Whole families died. Almost half the British crew died, and more than half of the Indian crew. Back in England, parents would soon learn their children had died, children they'd sent away to be safe. Geoffrey Shakespeare wrote a draft of the form letter that would be personalized and sent to the parents of the 83 children presumed dead. So I have a picture here of 3 of the surviving children, Sonia Betch, Colin Ryder Richardson, and Derek Betch. So here's the letter. I am very distressed to inform you that in spite of all the precautions taken, the ship carrying your child to Canada was torpedoed on Tuesday night, September 17th. I am afraid your child was not among those reported as rescued, and I am informed that there is no chance of there being any further list of survivors from the torpedoed vessel. The Children's Overseas Reception Board wishes me to convey its very deep sympathy with you in your bereavement. Like so many other parents, you are anxious to send your child overseas to one of the Dominions to enjoy a happier and safer life. You courageously took this decision in the interest of your child, believing that this course was better than leaving the child here in a vulnerable area, subject to continuous air raids. Hitherto, there have been no casualties among the thousands of children sent overseas. Unhappily, the course of the war has shown that neither by land nor sea can there be complete safety, and all of us are subject to the risk, whether we stay at home or proceed overseas. As a parent, I can realize the anguish that this letter must cause you and the great sadness which will be brought into your home. I should like to assure you how profoundly I personally sympathize with you and how deeply I share your grief. Yours very truly, Geoffrey Shakespeare. The letters arrived at parents' homes on Friday, September 20th, a week after the ship had sailed. A little over a week after the children had left home. Johnny Baker's mother told a reporter from the Daily Mirror that her sons had been looking forward to a grand time in Canada. We were expecting a cablegram to tell us they'd arrived safely when the education officer came to say their ship had been torpedoed. We were so thankful that we still have Johnny. Eddie and Hannah Gurman received the letters from Gusty and Violet and Connie on the same day they got the official letter. Please do not answer this letter, Gusty had written, as I will be in mid-Atlantic. The families of the escorts received letters too. Michael Rennie's parents were devastated. Michael was a shining light, now gone. His father, the vicar, would write to Louis Walder and ask him for details about his son, which Louis would give him. So we have Johnny Baker and Rex Thorne after their rescue on this picture. And later, the vicar had a mural painted in his church depicting Michael's heroism as described by Louis and others on the boat. Louis and Bess visited the vicar and he asked Louis to sit for the mural, which he did. Mary Cornish's younger sister, Eileen Patterson, was bereft. Their mother had died when Eileen was very young. When their father remarried, Eileen took it very hard. From that time on, she depended on Mary. Mary gave her the love and support she needed. Eileen was married with 2 small children, and she had been distraught when Mary went off as a corps escort. She couldn't wait for her sister to come back and be close by again. Mary wasn't just a beloved teacher and a devoted aunt. She was, to Eileen, an irreplaceable sister. But now she received a letter with the worst news. On September 22nd, Geoffrey Shakespeare wrote a letter to Eileen's husband, Ian Patterson. In those first days after they received the news, the parents and families of the dead children and the escorts of all the passengers who did not survive were shattered. They did what they could, planned and held memorial services, all the while in shock and grief. But in the case of 6 of the Corp families, the letters from Corp were incorrect, either completely or partially. For there was one lifeboat from the Benares that had not been seen by the hurricane. That lifeboat was still at sea, and it was packed with 46 passengers. Among them were 6 Corps boys and 2 escorts. It was Mary Cornish's lifeboat, number 12. The story of the torpedoing of the SS City of Benares should have been over, but it was not. So there's still a week later, there's still one lifeboat out there. I also have the letter from Geoffrey Shakespeare to Mary Cornish's brother-in-law, which does turn out to be incorrect, that she's not gone. Dear Mr. Patterson, I am deeply distressed to inform you that, in spite of all the precautions taken, the ship on which your sister-in-law, Miss Mary Cornish, was accompanying September 17th, was accompanying children to Canada, was torpedoed on Tuesday night, September 17th. I have to tell you that your sister-in-law was not among those reported as rescued, and I'm afraid that there is no chance of there being any further list of survivors from this torpedoed vessel. The Children's Overseas Reception Board wishes me to convey to you its very deep sympathy in your grievous loss. Your sister-in-law courageously undertook the duty of acting as escort to these children as a contribution to national service. She lost her life in the protection of the children, and on behalf of the board and of the parents, I should like to express to you our appreciation of this gallant devotion to duty. Yours sincerely, Geoffrey Shakespeare. And that was on September 22nd, 1940, so there is still one more boat.